Hey there, this is Joseph from NizhoniPhoto.com, and today we're talking about the crop tool. So this is a very simple tool, but I really like how it works in Lightroom. I think it's very simple, intuitive, and yet there's a few really cool features in here that make it really sweet. So let's get right into it. To get into the crop tool, we can click on this little icon, but we see here that we can also use the hotkey R to get into the crop tool from our develop module. So here we are, we have this image. We can click on the corners or these notches in the center and we can go ahead and crop into our image. We don't have to worry about the aspect ratio when we're cropping in. Lightroom remembers it. But here's something that I always found kind of frustrating about the crop tool is that when you crop in, you see you have a little your move tool here indicated by the hand. When you click, you can move this tool around. But I always thought this was frustrating because it feels like this tool is inverted, meaning that when I drag my mouse up, the crop goes down. And when I drag it down, the crop goes up. And for this video, I did a little research because I thought, well, maybe that tool is inverted. Maybe there's a setting that I can change. And then on a message board, someone pointed out that actually, when you move the crop, you actually have to focus on the image behind the crop. So rather than looking at this crop itself, look at the image behind it. You see this image here. And once you actually focus on the image behind the crop, now your brain connects the dots and it becomes so much easier to move it around, okay? So that's what you got to do. You have to focus on the image behind the crop because when you do that, it works. It makes so much more sense. Okay, so that's pretty much it with cropping into the image. Let's go ahead and reset it. We have this button here where we can actually crop in like this. But to be honest, I really don't find it that helpful. I really prefer to just crop in with this method here. Okay. Here, if we click on this area here where it says original, this is telling us that this is the original aspect ratio. But you see, we have all sorts of different aspect ratios. The second most helpful one is probably the 1:1, which gives you a square aspect ratio. And you know, that's really helpful if you're making like a profile picture for Facebook or something like that. This is where you're going to want to go. You also have this custom aspect ratio here. But again, I don't really find this to be that helpful either. I usually just keep it on original and leave it at that. Okay. Now, one more thing about the crop tool is the crop tool is really helpful for aligning your images. So you can see this photo here, it's just a little slightly off center. It's not balanced too well. So there are a couple ways that you can straighten this photo out. You can click on the slider here, and that's one way to do it. Okay, I really don't like this way because again, I don't like moving the sliders. I like having more control. So another way to do it is you can click on these little, you can click on these numbers here, and you can tap up or down, and that will actually move your image up that way. And I find that way to be a little bit easier too. Now you can hold the shift key and press up and down to actually move at larger intervals. Okay, and then let's see, we can see that, oh, about there is pretty straight. Okay, but here I'm going to show you the best way to actually align your images. You can do that by using the angle tool. Now you can click on this tool, and pretty much what you do is now you slide a line across any straight area of your photo. So in this case, we're going to use the horizon, and boom, it's going to level it for us. Okay, now let's go ahead and reset that. Now you can do that with any straight line, whether it's horizontal or vertical. So if you have a street sign, a street post, or a lamp post, for example, you can go ahead and drag your angle tool through that, and it will straighten your image. Also, keep in mind that if you hold down the Command key in this box, it's going to give you your angle tool. So that way you don't have to go over here and click to angle it. So you can just do it this way. Bingo bango. Now that's pretty much all there is to know about the crop tool, so stay tuned and have a good one.